I lead the development of GIS for a chain of grocery stores, Peterochka, which works in Russia. And I'm a geographer. And when people ask me what I do, they are surprised that I work for grocery stores. So they sometimes think that I couldn't find a job. So I had to work at a cash register. Now laughing once again. I know you like this. So they are surprised even more when I start explaining that I really work as a geographer because they really need a geographer. So they ask me, why? What are you doing there? Why do they need a geographer in the grocery store? And of course they need a geographer. Yeah, because knowledge of geography and state-of-the-art GIS technology is critically important for any big chain of stores to development the chain. But this fact is very novel in Russia, and only most innovative companies hire geographers and use GIS technologies to develop their business. And X5 Retail Group is one of such innovative companies. We are one of the largest food retailers in Russia. We have 91 hypermarket store brand name Karusel, which means, merry-go-round horses in English, and almost 500 of Перекресток stores, which are supermarkets, and more than 6,600 of neighborhood stores, Peterochka. I'll explain what it means in a moment. Altogether, we have more than 7,000 stores. Most of our competitors in Russia focused on lower income and value-conscious consumers, similar to US warehouse stores in look and feel. For example, Smart and Final, Food for Less. In contrary, Peterochka is a neighborhood store. A neighborhood store is a small grocery store with a broader assortment and a flexible price policy. We put much value in our supermarkets' looks, and we open stores in the most convenient locations in walking distance to our customers' home. In Russia, many of our customers don't have a car, and using public transportation while carrying heavy bags is not a lot of fun. That's why Russians really appreciate having a good option for everyday shopping close to their homes. Modern formats of retailing appeared in Russia about 20 years ago, starting from large cities. In rural regions, there are more options of traditional grocery options, and people not familiar with modern self-service stores. So we need to be really creative to persuade them that using a modern self-service store may be a good alternative to their everyday shopping experience. To give you a better idea of traditional Russian shopping experience, here is a farmer's market in the city of Belgrade. You can see customers talk to the vendors in person, they may bargain, and they have their favorite sellers. And here is a meat market in Siberia, in the city of Novokuznetsk. Again, you see a vendor showing their goods, and Personal communication here is really important for consumers' trust to the vendor. Really, it's quite a different shopping experience. And here's a shop in a small village to the north of Moscow. It offers bread and other goods resembling general stores in rural US. As you can see, Peterochka is quite different from these options, and people may need time to accept it. But now we have more than 6,500 Peterochka stores, and you can find it in almost any locality in European part of Russia and in Urals. At such a large territory, it's really important to understand where companies' units are. And it, of course, is even more important for a company as large as ours. So one of the first reasons why we started the implementation of GIS was our strong desire to know where all our stores are located, where our customers live, where our suppliers' warehouses are situated, and so on. So in the beginning, we did small steps. So the first store was opened in St. Petersburg. One of the opinions about change's name is that in the beginning, owners thought about opening only 5 stores, and 5 means 5 in Russian. But 5 years later, we already have more than 500 of stores. And in the next 5 years, more than 1,000 stores joined the chain in different regions. And then, boom, you see, in the next 5 years, we had more than 6,000 stores, and 1,500 of these stores were opened only in 2015. This is more than any other food trade chain in the world opened in the last year. And we have plans for this year to open even more stores. To open the only one store, the large amount of jobs should need to be done. According to our experience, to open only one store, we need to have 4 appropriate localities. To find these 4 appropriate localities, we need to find even more promising options. And to find these promising options, we need to assess even more locations. And concerning our plans, you remember we want to open more than 1,500 of stores in this year. The tasks is becoming very large scaled. Before GIS, the process of assessment of one new store was really complicated and time-consuming. Search specialist, the person who is looking for these promising options, you remember this promising locations for the new store, had to go walking all the neighborhood to find all the needed information. So he needed to count all households near the potential location, find all our count all households and find all the competitors in the location. Then he needed to fill out some Excel sheets and documents and to design a final map that shows how desirable the location is using just graphic editing programs like Paint and PowerPoint. It's not an easy task even for non-geographer especially. And even if a place turns out to be not desirable, all of this work is already done. So you can see before GIS it was an enormous amount of work. And now the only thing needed is one tap on a map in a user-friendly mobile application. All information about households and competitors is already there. But first time our search specialists refused to use this new system. They thought it's too unusual and awkward. But situation changed rapidly. Now they understand that this GIS mobile application is the fastest and the most convenient instrument they ever had. How do I know that? Because if we have any technical stop and GIS doesn't work for some hours, we get dozens of requests asking to turn it on again because our specialists say we can't work without GIS. And here our analyst Marina demonstrates how search specialist works with a mobile application. Search specialists have to travel a lot to visit all potential locations, so he needs a very fast-working and light-weighted device, and the tablet is perfect choice. Search specialist starts the process. He finds interesting location, pick a point on a map, creating a new object in the database. Then some people who are in charge of making decisions look through all the information about the location in the web application. So here our GIS administrator, Artyom, demonstrates web application in use. Web application is available from any device equipped with internet browser. So it's good to use it both from home and at office. Analysts finish the process. Here our GIS analyst Daria verifies geodata after our mobile users. Our analysts use ArcGIS desktop, and we all use the same database. It helps us to avoid incorrect decisions because everybody sees the same data. Using the same database gives us one more advantage. We can share the information very fast. Our GIS analysts create new map layer and publish it on the web application. We don't need to modify the application itself, so the process needs little time and no money. And our colleagues who are not professional geographers gained an opportunity to use high quality and up-to-date cartographic materials. That's why GIS is becoming more and more popular in the department of our company where it have never been used before. And we see really great perspectives of using GIS in almost all of our departments. Let me introduce you some example of how we test the implementation of GIS in other fields. The first example is about assortment planning and pricing. For a chain of grocery stores, it's really important to know what to sell and where to sell it. It's obvious that people who live in different areas under different natural and social conditions have different food preferences. To predict these preferences, we use the sales statistics of our stores. Once it was noticed that whole chicken sold better in one stores and cut-up chicken sold better in other stores. We mapped the statistics and we understood that cut-up chicken is better sold in large cities. On the right map, you can see an example of St. Petersburg, where sales of whole chicken are much worse than in Leningrad region that surrounds it. You can see stores with high sales of whole chicken in red and yellow points, and with high sales of cut up chicken in blue points. And on the right map, you see this familiar example of city Rostov-on-Don. It's a large city close to the Russian Black Sea shore and Rostov region. Another field where we plan to use GIS is supply handling. We need really excellent delivery system to supply all our stores with all they need in time. Before GIS, we used simple self-made algorithms to plan our deliveries. For example, we measured the distance between the distribution center and the store straight away. But we understand that trucks can't go straight away. They have used roads with traffic and speed limits. And here you can see on these two maps that the difference between straight-away zones and reachability zones by driving time is huge, especially in some areas. To draw reachability zone by driving time using ArcGIS is a really simple task. But the simple action gives us a great advantage. Now we can quickly and easily redistribute all our stores among distribution centers. When finishing with distribution, we have another task. How to deliver all of the goods to all of the stores using the trucks we have. And once again, ArcGIS helps us quickly and easily solve this problem. It finds a better routing for all of the trucks concerning trucks type and stores demand. Now we have large-scale plans of using GIS for our supply handling because we think it will be fruitful. To summarize, we use GIS for different tasks such as location analysis, analysis of regional differences, supply handling, and we have numerous future possibilities of GIS application in different departments of our company. Odds that in near future we'll start to use GIS to find the best location for advertising panels, distribution centers, sublease offers, and promotional actions. To conclude, we developed the largest scale GIS implementation in Russian grocery retail business. Among our results of these efforts is improved decision making, enhanced business growth and development of our business, and most importantly, with the help of GIS, we now are able to provide superb grocery stores right where people need them. And here our GIS team of 3 GIS analysts, a business analyst, 2 developers, 2 administrators, and an IT project manager. We work under the supervision of our analyst department head and director for development of trade chain Peterочка. I want to thank them all for their excellent work. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Alina, and you did an amazing job. We did not expect everything to go wrong. The machines are talking to each other back there. I think they're learning and they're connected, and they've decided to throw a hiccup in this. So you are part of a store that, a brand that opened 1,500 stores last year. I mean, you talked about the decisions that were part of that. I mean, how do you scale organizationally to do that? I mean, there's not many of you.
Well, In the beginning of implementation of GIS, some search specialists asked me, if we plan, to fire them all, because GIS will do all the work for them? And we answered that, of course, no, because we have so ambitious plans, and GIS help us to improve this productivity, yes, so we can work with the same amount of search specialists and do more, open more stores. So we now take new specialists only in new regions where we have never worked before, but in the regions where we already work, there we can do much more work with the same amount of employees, thanks to GIS.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being so graceful with everything that happened here. So give her another round of applause for that.